Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Biggs. I'd like to introduce you guys to the FPL presentation. I'll let Peter take the reins without further ado.
All right. Good afternoon, guys. Thanks for being here. Appreciate your time. Again, I think all the cool kids are here, so appreciate you guys being here. So I want to talk to you guys today about electric vehicle charging. It's an exciting time in the industry. A lot's going on. And there's a big opportunity for commercial real estate to benefit from EV charging. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about how you guys can partner with FPL at no cost to really realize those benefits. Before we start, does anyone have any experience with EV charging at one of their properties? No, nothing. Anyone an EV driver? She is. All right, couple EV drivers.
The only EV driver here? I'm surprised.
And is it non-Tesla? Non-Tesla for both of you? Okay, cool. So I'm curious about your experience so far, and we'll talk a little bit about that. All right, so we're going to jump in. I'm going to talk to you about the FPL Evolution program. Again, we offer a turnkey solution at no cost to a host. We're looking for partners, and we'll talk more about that. But yeah, we'll go ahead and jump in. Got some pretty pictures here, some of our sites. So let's just kind of set the stage a little bit. So we'll take a step back. So in Florida, EVs there's a lot. And there's going to be more. So Florida is the #2 state for EVs out on the road. We've seen steady growth. We've been watching this over time. As you can imagine, we're curious about this because it impacts our electric grid, right? You have more and more people charging their cars. How is that going to impact our grid? Fortunately, we're fine. In other places of the world, other places like California, that could impact things. They already have rolling blackouts sometimes. So we're good with that. But another reason we've been watching is we actually get phone calls from customers every day asking us what FPL is doing to support EV drivers and potential EV drivers. So we're lucky and fortunate today to actually offer 3 different programs. We have a home charging program that we launched last year. It's been wildly popular. You pay a flat fee, it's $38 a month. We'll put a charger in your garage. You can charge it unlimited at night and on the weekends. Really good program, especially if you're driving a lot. We're helping businesses electrify their fleets. And then public fast charging is really what I want to spend the time on. But also just want to highlight, got some stats here. By 2030, we think we may have 1 million EVs on the road in Florida. With that comes opportunity. We want to be ready. Again, we're happy that we have, the programs that we have. We're at the beginning of a big shift. In 2021, all the major auto manufacturers announced their plans to electrify their portfolio. It's going to take time, but we want to be ready. We want to be there for them. Again, we get lots of customers. The most common call lately has been from condos. Hey, we got all these EV drivers. What do we do? So we're actually working to address that as well. So more to come on that. All right, so why would you want EV chargers on your property? We're going to bring new visitors to your property. They're likely going to be repeat visitors, and they're likely going to spend money when they're on site. How does that sound?
Good.
All right, cool. So some good stats here, 220 EV drivers each month. That's an average, right? So sometimes we're putting EV chargers in the middle of nowhere to support that guy that needs to cross the state. That station may not get a lot of use, but it's an important one. Our highest one is in the 5s, and it continues to get, to grow every month. So those are new visitors coming to your property. We got a picture of one of our sites here. This is our Melbourne Dunkin'. So this is just off I-95 in Melbourne. You notice that the station has 2 different plugs. So our stations are universal. So they have a CCS plug and a CHAdeMO plug. So CHAdeMO, I think, is just used by the Nissan Leaf. Almost every other vehicle out there uses CCS. What about Tesla? So Tesla has their own proprietary plug. A Tesla can use our stations, but you need an adapter. It's not the little adapter that comes with a Tesla. It's a separate one. So, we see Teslas at our stations. Depending on where you live, what your driving habits are, things like that. Maybe you want to use our network, or you can use the existing Tesla network. So just want to be transparent on that. Let's keep it going. All right, so where are we located? So I think I may have mentioned before. So we got started in 2019 installing chargers for the public. So if you look here, most of what we've done has been level 2. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, level 1, level 2, level 3. Do we want to go through that? We'll go through that real quick. Level 1 charging is just plugging into a regular wall outlet. All 3 levels are very important. Each have their own place. Level 1 charging is going to be the easiest thing for most people, but it's going to take the most amount of time. So if you're not driving a lot and you can just plug in at your house, that's fine. That'll usually work for people. A lot of people want to put in a level 2 at their house. So level 2, by going up to 240 volts, you can now cut that charging time to 6 to 8 hours, depending on the vehicle. So level 2, a lot of times people put those in their garages. It's also a lot of times what you see around town. Workplace chargers a lot of times are level 2s as well. With that 6 to 8 hours, that really works well while you're at work, charging overnight, things like that. And then level 3 is the fast charging. That's what's getting a lot of attention now. There's a lot of people that are interested in EV driving. They have what they call range anxiety. They don't know if they're going to be able to make it here or there, where they're going to charge. And that's one of the things that we're helping address. So yeah, the level 3, the power levels can vary, but in general, what we're putting in, you're talking about approximately half an hour for full charge for most vehicles. So that's a game changer, right? That's really going to help support those folks that need to travel long distance, or those people that just don't have a place to plug in. So yeah, level 2 is mostly what we did from 2019 to 2021. So that's what you see up there. Again, our focus now for public charging is the fast chargers. So that's what you see, the blue and the green. We just got a couple sites in the Panhandle last week, so we'll be adding those. But over 800 level 2 chargers we have. And then fast chargers, we have 108 ports and like another 160 that are in development. Again, we're looking for more opportunities. That's why I'm speaking with you guys. So if you guys know of any good commercial properties that have amenities, we'd love to partner. We offer free solution, no cost to you, right? We handle everything, and we'll talk some more about that in a minute. All right, any questions so far?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
How long are the folks staying on the property when it's a fast charge?
Average dwell time, it's probably in the 20s.
So it takes them like 20 minutes or something
Yeah,
to get the charge.
right. So if someone pulls up to charge, they may already have 80% battery. They may have close to 0. It's going to vary, right?
Okay.
I think the average charge time that we have, it's either high 20s or low 30s, right? So the idea is that they're going to come, they're going to plug in. Maybe they're going to delete some emails or whatever, but they're probably going to want to do something, right? They're going to want to go into that Dunkin' Donuts and get a coffee. They're going to want to do some shopping. And that's where you guys benefit. Yeah.
Describe no charge.
To a host, no charge. We handle absolutely everything.
Well, who pays for the electricity?
We also pay for the electricity. A driver will pay to use the stations. That helps us offset our project cost.
Installation.
We handle everything.
What's the price point to use the station?
30 cents a kilowatt hour. So what does that end up being? Depends on the vehicle, the battery size, how much you need to charge. Smaller vehicle, $15. Larger vehicle, $30. So easily half of what a comparable internal combustion engine would be. So that's attractive to a lot of people. Some more good stats about our program here. I'll get into the core of our program in a minute, but I just want to highlight the power of partnering with FPL, right? So I would imagine a lot of you have been in the state for a while, probably familiar with our company, but if you're not, we're a very strong company. We're part of NextEra Energy. We are the world's largest producer of energy from the wind and sun. We're not going anywhere. We're a billion-dollar company. We're your neighbor. Electricity is our core business. We're really good at it. On the FPL side, we're in the middle of a green transformation. We have a huge solar expansion that we're working on. We actually have 60 already completed large-scale solar sites. You don't see them most of the time because they're in the middle of nowhere, because that's where it's a good place to put solar. But yeah, we have a lot of those. And we just think that what we're doing with EV charging really complements that effort really well. We treat our EV charging stations as an extension of our grid. Reliability is very important to us, being the power company. We have an asset management team and a call center team that are dedicated just to these charging stations. So we're in a really good position to continue managing our growing program. Any more questions? All right, so the core of the program. So FPL Evolution. It's a turnkey solution at no cost to you. We're going to procure the equipment. We're going to handle the engineering, then the permitting, and the installation.
And construction.
Correct. Ongoing O&M, operations and maintenance, is on us as well. Again, we have a team that's going to monitor those stations.
Typically, how long does it take you guys to do
The full process?
yeah, so you're looking at parking, shutting down a particular part of the parking lot.
Right.
It's all happening, right? So
Yeah, so fortunately, if we're going to block spaces, usually it's just temporary. The actual installation is kind of done in pieces. Think of it as like building a pool. We're going to come and we're going to do like what we call the primary electric. We're going to do that one day. We're going to come back after an inspection a few weeks down the road. We're going to do the secondary. Then we're going to do the stations. So we usually won't need to actually block them for a long period of time. And when we do, we'd work with you to make sure that the air is blocked off and made safe. So the actual construction, give or take like 3 months, but again, it's not going to be consecutive. Good question. All right, so we're going to handle everything, no cost. You already asked about electricity. We're going to set up a new account under FPL's name, right? So we're going to pay that cost. We do need to put in a new dedicated transformer. This is a lot of power that we're talking about. So we do need to put in, one of those green boxes that's pretty much that size. This is one of our projects in Sarasota. We put 6 chargers there. We typically do 4 chargers. That's kind of like the happy medium. We can do less if space is tight. We've done as little as 2. On the Turnpike service plazas, we did 6 just because of the volume. But 4 seems to be the happy number. Where we put the transformer, we made it an easement, depending on, easement-wise, what's already there. That's, a bridge that we can cross when we get there. Our projects are expensive. This is very expensive electric equipment. Our project, the last project that got approved last week was over $500,000. So we want to slowly get that back from the electric usage and things like that. But we have a 10-year term, right? Because of that, big expense, we want to, make sure that we're getting some of that back. So 10-year term. At the end of the term, we can either remove the stations or we can sell to you for fair market value. Those are the 2 options now. I would imagine that down the road, we may have an upgrade option, but it's just too early to kind of define what that might look like. What else here? So yeah, we have a 6-page standard agreement, which I can send to you guys, and kind of just goes through all of the details. 4 spaces, typically what we're looking at. We have some language about expanding to 2 spaces. We don't have to do that, but it is there. So I want to show some things on the picture over here. So this is a typical location. They're all a little bit different, but want to point out a few things. So we do brand the units. So we add a little FPL color there. We add the signage. We add the striping. Again, we do, we handle all that. We want these to be visible. We want people to easily be able to find these. We also want to keep out the regular vehicles as well. If a regular vehicle parks there, to us, it's not a big deal. Usually people are, they respect the situation. But if a parking lot, gets tight, we're not going to tow or anything like that. But you guys can manage that however you want. Transformers in the back. What else here? The units that we use, most of what we use, they are 240 kilowatts. So that is fast. That's not the fastest. We can go faster than that. We can do 350 kilowatts if we have space for what's called a power cabinet. And so the power cabinet, you can kind of see it on the edge over there. It's that white box. It's pretty much like another transformer. So it is going to take up more space. If you have the space, it's worth it because then we can put in 350 kilowatts. It's just going to make for an even faster charger. If you've seen Tesla charging stations before, they always have the power cabinets, sort of those white things kind of off to the side. Any questions?
So when you, a customer come in, they're paying for the time or are they paying for the charge? Or
Correct. The customer is going to pay for the charge.
So do they pay, is it like, gas, if I put half a tank or full tank, or is it just like a one price set?
You're paying for what you're using. So electricity is kilowatt hours. Yeah. So it's
you're saying that, okay, hey, I just need enough to get home, you pay kilowatts.
right. So similar to what's the best example? Well, anyway, you pay through our app, right? So you can authenticate. If you have a credit card already set up, you can select the credit card. You can do Apple Pay. You authenticate. You start charging, and then it knows, what to bill you. Similar to a gas station. You're going to swipe, and then it's going to figure out the amount.
Do you find more people come to the faster chargers?
It depends. It depends. So Florida Power and Light has a huge workplace charging program. We have a lot of employees, a lot of engineers that are techie and they like driving electric cars. A lot of them charge at work because we have an EV charging program at work. Those are level 2s. So the fast charging, most of the reason that we're doing this is we want to support that long distance travel, right? Florida's a big state. A lot of people going up and down 95 and things like that. But I can't explain, all driving behavior to you. There's a Tesla charging station right down the street from me. Tuesday night at 9 o'clock, half the chargers are being used, and it's 16 of them. my area is all residential. They could easily plug in at the house if they wanted to. So there's a lot of different scenarios. But again, level 1, level 2, level 3, all are equally important for different reasons. Good question. Anything else?
Do you have a question?
She kind of answered it, but I was wondering what the price comparison was from gasoline to the kilowatt.
Right. So again, it'll depend on the vehicle. But what we see is kind of a range between like $15 to $30 for full charge. So different vehicles have different battery sizes, right? So like the new Hummer that's going to come out, I think has like a 100 kilowatt battery. So for a full charge on that, it's probably going to be $30, maybe a little bit more. A smaller car like a Leaf, smaller battery, less money. Right. That as well. That as well.
That Hummer's going to be able to take the whole night to charge, because it's so big.
On a level 2 charger, it would. Yeah.
So is the cost like the same then?
Yeah.
If you were to
30
charge at your house, you're paying,
At your house would be a little bit less. At your house, it's going to be your regular electric rate.
so you pay a little bit less for your kilowatts at home
Right.
than you do if you had to go.
Yes.
to charging.
Here, you're going to pay a premium for the convenience of charging
The
quickly.
difference, if it costs $30 to fill up at home, is it $60 to fill up at the station?
No, so 30 at our station. At home, it's going to be a third of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
If having a faster charger doesn't guarantee more people come to the charger, why would a landlord who just wants the people to stay longer pay more, or why would he care? Why would he just?
Right. So the landlord, we just want space, right? So if you already have the parking lot, we want space, we're going to bring new visitors. New visitors, I don't know, maybe they can charge more in rent. Maybe they can, just create some buzz. This is a media-worthy amenity. Again, it's over $500,000. Usually when we put these in, it makes the news. So it creates buzz. Again, people are coming, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. They want to spend time there. So, and I'll talk in a minute about some additional benefits as well. Yes, sir.
I have a Target near me. The Target has 8 Tesla spots. They have 2 FPL spots, and they have 2 EVgo spots.
Okay.
Why would
Yeah.
they have all 3 companies?
I'm curious what location that is. We have seen co-location of Tesla with us. That makes sense. You'll see that on Turnpike Service Plaza. That's to truly make it universal. You can support the Tesla and everyone else. For a Target to have Tesla and EVgo and us doesn't completely make sense.
Because I couldn't understand why, unless there was different pricing.
There would be different pricing. Power levels could be different. Our agreements, are a little bit different. But why they would want to have EVgo and us? EVgo, when they first started, so there's a few different players out there. EVgo, Electrify America. EVgo was only installing 1 or 2 units, and they were slower, just 50 kilowatts. Today you can pretty much destroy that with newer units. So it could be a timing thing. I'm not sure.
And you've got Blink, and then you've got the charger.
Right. You got Blink, you got Volta. Yeah.
So does it cost us parking?
Depends on the location. Good question. That's a common one that comes up with developers and property managers. Depends on the city in terms of how they count against parking count. Usually they don't. Usually we can say, hey, it's not dedicated for EV charging. We can say that anyone can park there, and they're fine with that. Similar to that, kind of a related concern, ADA. Different cities, municipalities, counties look at ADA in different manners. Enough are requiring it now where we're almost proactively doing it at most of our sites. So we'll take pretty much 5 parking spaces, turn it into 4 charging spaces, with 1 having the access way, the little walkway, to make us ADA compliant. All right. So in terms of next steps, what a timeline could look like, if you did want to move forward, this is what we look like here. That's the timeline. 8 to 10 months. It can really vary. It really depends mostly on that permitting process. But if you wanted to move forward, I mentioned the agreement. A signed agreement tells us you guys want to move forward. From there, we'd probably do a site visit. We'd request a survey. That survey then pretty much kicks off our engineering process. We do engineering. The engineering drawings we would share with the host as they progress. Then we start the permitting. Again, permitting takes the longest. It's really going to vary. Here in South Florida, it takes longer than other parts of the state. And then installation. And we talked a little bit about installation. It's a few months, give or take, depends on how much underground work is needed. And then when we're done, you're going to have a new amenity that supports sustainability, supports the community, and is going to drive new traffic to your property. Any other questions?
Are you free to municipalities also?
Are we?
No cost to municipalities to print screen and strip?
Yeah,
And that's all the electrical included? All
correct.
the construction?
Yes. So typically, we have interest in some, municipal properties, right? If it's like a park that's right next to a bunch of restaurants or, an area where people want to be, we'd be interested. But typically, it's better for us to be in kind of that retail environment or mixed use.
What if it's in an open parking lot and you're not interested?
It depends on what's around it. We want amenities in the area. We want to give people something to do. So I didn't talk about it, but the reality is, in the commercial real estate world, oh, that's hidden.
Question, so, would it ever be where you gotta have a universal outfit
What happened
for
there?
Tesla and, not Tesla, or is it just gonna be kind of separate?
I'm sorry, I missed the beginning of that.
Will
Will
there be a time where you'll have like universal, I guess?
just one for all?
Right.
It pretty much is that case in Europe. In Europe, it's all CCS. It's funny, like the Teslas have the CCS plug in Europe. Here, timing-wise, I think it'd be tough. It looks like Tesla may be opening up their network in the future.
No, I'm only asking because, in the case of I'm saying, where you have two different brands.
Yeah.
So it's obviously, now it's gonna come down to every center, like, okay, well, I need to be 3 open for FPL, 3 open for Tesla. So it's,
Right.
I can see it just being
Right.
a limited.
Right.
Space that they'll be-
Understood. That's a valid concern. Right now, if you have Tesla chargers, you're only going to be able to charge a Tesla. There is a mountain of other vehicles that are coming, and we'll be able to charge all of them. That's the quick and easy answer, I guess. But it's a valid concern, right? And it's similar to other technology, right? I mean, USB, USB-C, everything, technology-wise, it keeps going. It's one of those things that, one group starts working on one technology, one works on the other, they both want it to make it, and so.
I remember, I'm gonna date myself, but cell phones is crazy. Like everybody had different
Right.
cell phones.
So I'm not sure why this isn't showing anymore, but just added like a slide showing our app, right? So our app is how you actually authenticate the charge. Our IT team did a great job with the app. So you can actually see where all of our stations are. It'll help you navigate straight to our stations. Once you're charging, it'll give you alerts and alarms on the status of the charge. You can see your charging history. So really good stuff there. Only other thing I wanted to mention, right? So it's, this is the commercial real estate world. If you have a good property, we can offer you compensation. So we offer upfront compensation. We would pay when the site is, fully built. That amount can vary, right, depending on the location, what's near there. If you know of someone that has a property, so we can set up kind of like a broker type relationship. So if you bring us a lead, we can also compensate you. Any other questions?
If you bring you a lead, you can do what?
We can offer you compensation. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I have lots of cards. What other questions? Anything EV related?
Good. Are you familiar with Beam?
Beam?
Beam charging.
Beam charging.
The only solar charger.
Okay, I've read about it. So,
How does that compare to you?
right.
guys?
So
No
the,
construction costs.
no, there'd still be construction costs.
You can wheel it on the back of your truck, and then I happen to know because I own
Okay.
the stock.
Okay.
So I'm curious how.
So, in my opinion, that's something that sounds cool. I think it's nice from a sustainability perspective. To generate enough power to charge a vehicle quickly, you're going to need a lot of space.
U.S. government just bought 20,000 of them. They can put them in Saudi Arabia out in the desert. That
Okay.
bought it for the military.
Do you know what the power level is?
Big. They have their own charging systems. The
Okay.
charger is part of it.
Right.
They put the overhead, you back the vehicle under it,
Right.
and the charging, the batteries, if you will,
Right.
are, if you will, self-contained. They're right there.
Yeah, no, I think it's not a bad idea.
Back them up with a truck.
Right, it's not a bad idea. It's going to be expensive, right? Over time, costs will go down, but I think right now costs are going to be very expensive. It's a good idea. It's a good idea.
Make money.
But with solar, that's what a lot of people don't realize. And I used to work before. I've been with FPL for 14 years, done a lot of different things. Before this, I was on the solar side of the house. You need a lot of space to generate.
Just shut down that whole system because there's no batteries.
Right, yeah. That was the hot news yesterday. Ford stopped production of the F-150 Lightning because they're having an issue with their batteries. But just like any vehicle that's being produced, you're always going to have recalls and things like that. What else you got? Let's hear it, man.
Batteries that Ford is making are made in China. Isn't that something to think about?
So batteries similar to solar power, 10 years ago, wind power 20 years ago, they're going through a renaissance. We're, reinventing how they're being made, new chemistries. We're, inventing how we're going to recycle them. So it's in its infancy, but there's a lot of promising work in that field. What else?
That's it.
Come on.
That's somebody else.
That's it, your time's up, man.
All right.
Good job.
Thank you guys very much. Yeah, I'm here, Brooke's here. If you guys want to talk to us about any properties, we have cards, we have pamphlets, we have giveaways over at the table over there. But thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it. Great.